Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another League One roundup. This week is match week 39. I think it's 39. Some teams have played 39 games, some haven't. Either way, teams have now got about 8 to 7 games till the end of the season. However you look at it, it is the business end of this League One campaign. 4 selected games, 4 games to break down, analyse, and also look at some key players as well. What it means to these teams as we now head into this point of the season as well, where some big decisions are being made on who's going to finish in the top 6, who's going to go for the title, who is going to get relegated, all that sort of thing discussed in this episode as we reflect on a busy weekend of League One action. Now, as of recording, we have not yet hit 1,000 subscribers. If we have hit 1,000 subscribers, thank you so much. Let's now go to the next one. Let's not stop here. Let's move. Let's take the 1,000 subscribers. And thank you so much. And I will be, of course, going into that when we do eventually hit it. I'll, of course, have a message for that. But if we have hit it, don't stop there. Hit that subscribe button. It really would mean the world. The support, the growth of the podcast recently has been absolutely phenomenal. So if we haven't hit 1,000 subscribers, then please do that. If we have, please do it anyway. We're on to the next one now. Thank you so much. And hit a like as well if you think it warrants a like. Anyway, let's not mess about. Let's get straight into it. We're now going to start off going to Cambridge United as they hosted against a very in-form MK Dons side. Here we are then. MK Dons at the moment still, I guess, they're still trying to chase the top 2 places. Now, have they gone away with that? We'll have a look at the league table first and foremost. Is that still a possibility for them? We'll have a look at the league table. 76 points they are currently sat on. Wigan are on 79 points. There's only a 3-point gap between those two sides. However, Wigan are winning games, and they've still got 2 games in hand on MK Dons as well. So I think a third place finish for MK Dons is probably where it's going to be. I can't see them get into that top 2. I mean, Rotherham, they're struggling. The last 5 games, they haven't been brilliant. We'll come on to their game yesterday. That game yesterday certainly was not brilliant, and that is one of the selected games we're going to be talking about. But I can't see MK Dons getting that top 2. They've been absolutely brilliant this season. I think the gap and the games in hand that Wigan have got, I think that's going to massively benefit, for example, for Wigan, for example, and Rotherham as well. And if Rotherham continue on their pretty up and down, miserable last 5 games in terms of form. It hasn't been good enough recently. They're still top of the table, still having a phenomenal season, but their recent form hasn't been brilliant. Maybe they could slip down all to a third. I think that would be a bit of a car crash end of a season for Rotherham if they do not finish in that top 2. But other than that, there's no doubt at all, MK Dons have been phenomenal. Another brilliant win yesterday as well. One, I think they had to change it a little bit. They had to probably make it was a bit of a grind of a result, but of course we'll have a look at that. Have a look at Cambridge United's form as well. 17th in the league. Last 5 games they haven't won a game, and the last 2 games have ended in defeat. 45 points, 38 games have been played. I don't think relegation is going to be a problem at all for Cambridge United, and no doubt at all they've been absolutely brilliant this season. Aside getting promoted into League 2, they've been absolutely brilliant in what they've done, and in coming into a season and coming into a league like this one, they certainly not let themselves down. They've been brilliant. A lot of people thought they'd be nailed on. I think I was in there as well to go and get relegated. So that certainly hasn't happened. Fair play to Cambridge United. They've been brilliant this year. We'll have a look at this game, of course, as well. We'll have a look at the momentum graph first and foremost. This is where we get a really good reflection on how the game panned out. You can see here, I think both teams had their moments, and that's what I said when I spoke a second ago. It's about MK Dons, and recently they've been grinding some really big results out, and maybe not even so much grinding, just getting some really big results and playing really good football. I'm not saying they didn't play good football yesterday, but they're playing a different opposition who are going to make it difficult for them, and they had to sort of, I guess, make the most of the spells they had in the games, because Cambridge were going to play and going to try and stop MK Dons. The home side, they had that sort of extra edge to them, being that home side. We know the home advantage has been really positive for a lot of teams this season now, with crowds back in to stadiums. And you can see in this game here, both teams had their moments. Both teams had their chances in the game. MK Dons probably had the bigger of the sprees in the first half, but nothing to say that Cambridge didn't have moments in that as well. You can see in that second half, when did the goal come? Into that second half, you can see the second half, both teams had their moments. MK Dons started the second half as the much stronger side, had a really big chance in the first 5-10 minutes of that second half, and Cambridge had their moment as well. Then the next spell was when MK Dons took the lead. But you can see there, even in the second half and moments in the first half, the game was a little bit quite even, you could say. I'd say fairly even. Across the 90 minutes, both teams had their moments in terms of the large of the spike, if you like, of MK Dons' chances. Maybe they did edge that slightly, but you can still see there, both teams definitely did play to a good standard. And you can also see as well, both sides could have they could have come away with a win here. And look at the other stats as well. We'll go down to look at the possession stats, the big chances that both of these teams had. You can see here, it was the away side. It was MK Dons that had more of the ball. We know MK Dons, they like having the ball. They're a side under Liam Manning that loves having the ball. Very, very possession-based style of football team. And you can see there with the stats backing that up with 58% possession. We'll have a look at those big chances, though. Cambridge had their moments. Cambridge did have those big chances. They missed 4 big chances in the game. Both sides could have won the game. Both sides had their moments. And you can see here, it sums it up brilliantly. Although MK Dons took their chance, or took the one chance in the game that they definitely should have taken or did take, either way, Cambridge had 4 chances. Cambridge had 4 big chances in the game. This game really could have gone either way. I think there will be a sense of disappointment within the Cambridge United camp. They couldn't make the most of it and couldn't make more of a game. In the end, they come away losing. So I think it's frustrating for Cambridge. I think they will be frustrated, but MK Dons, they just continue. They just continue knocking on that door of the top 2 places, continue getting results. On a brilliant run. They're doing phenomenally well this season. It finishes Cambridge United 0, MK Dons 1. Right then, let's go to Wigan. Let's go to the DW Stadium, because Wigan, well, they continued on some really, really good form. They want to hunt down the title. They're really, really knocking on the door, the Rotherham door, the big red door of Rotherham for the title. They've got games in hand, and they're winning their games in hand, and that is what's so phenomenal at the moment about this Wigan side. They were playing a Morecambe side that are continuing to struggle. 3 games down the bounce without a win. In fact, 3 games on the bounce now with consecutive defeats, haven't won in a while. Over 5 games, they haven't got a win. So a real concern at Morecambe as they continue to try and get themselves out of a battle of that bottom 4. It's not going to be easy, though. You keep losing games like this, of course, away to Wigan. It's a very difficult game. We know the quality of Wigan got. All you've got to do is look at that league table. But ultimately, it's a very disappointing result for Morecambe, especially in the way that they're conceding 4 goals. It's not a great confidence boost for these players who are currently really quite low, I imagine, on confidence, considering where they are sat on the in the table. We look at Wigan. I mean, one end of the table to the other, really, isn't it? Wigan second in the league, amazing run of form, 79 points, 1 point away from Rotherham, with 2 games in hand on Rotherham as well. They're brilliant, and we said, and I've said on the podcast so many times, games in hand do not equal points. Well, at the moment, Wigan, they're proving my statement wrong. At the moment, every game in hand, I'm pretty sure, other than one game in hand they've won. The other game, I believe they drew, but other than that, they are winning those games in hand. They're winning those games which are going to propel them, hopefully, for Wigan fans, to top of the league table. I'm a complete neutral in the title race, but I think Rotherham and Wigan, is going to be absolutely fascinating to see how that title race pans out. And a result for Wigan yesterday against Morecambe, like it was, well, it's certainly going to help them on that. We look at the momentum graph and how the game panned out. It was a little bit of a Wigan onslaught at points, it can be seen as. Look at the way that the game panned out going forward on an attacking sense. I mean, yes, I mean, Morecambe had their moments, maybe a little bit in the first half, a big little bit of a contradiction. They had a moment. What I mean by big little is they had a very small moment where they did have a substantial attack, but other than that, we look at across the 90 minutes, it was definitely Wigan that edged it. We look at the second half, pretty much the entirety of that second half, other than the first sort of 10-15 minutes, it was all Wigan, and you can see there, they definitely thoroughly deserved to win the game. We can see here, Jason Kerr had a very good game. Tom Naylor, I believe, got man of the match in the game as well. Is that how many assists was it for him? 2 assists, Tom Naylor. I believe it is Tom Naylor. It is Tom Naylor, yes, who got the man of the match for Wigan. Looked like he had a brilliant game. In terms of possession stats, 61 possession to 39% possession, 20 shots to 5, 3 big chances to 1. It definitely seems as though Wigan were dominant in the game and deserved to win the game. In the end, though, Wigan, like I said, knocking on that Rotherham door. They want the title. Will they get the title? Let me know in the comments down below. Neutral fans, Wigan fans, even Rotherham fans. Who is going to win the title and why? Let me know in the comments down below. But in Wigan's hunt, that's a very good result. It finishes Wigan 4, Morecambe 1. Right then, let's go to Plymouth. Let's go to home park. Plymouth Argyle, as they played against Accrington Stanley. And Plymouth, they want to finish in that top 6, and the recent form they currently find themselves on, well, 5 games in a row with 5 wins. You can see here the last defeat came to Rotherham, but since then, 5 wins on the bounce, beating Morecambe, AFC Wimbledon, Bolton, Portsmouth, Accrington. Some games in there, you could argue, playoff 6-pointers. That doesn't stop Plymouth. They are absolutely steamrolling through these games and getting a 3 points on the way. As for their opposition, Accrington Stanley, they are a banana skin. They are a banana skin for teams hunting around the top 6 places or already in those top 6 places. Unfortunately for Accrington, it wasn't a game where they could put that banana on the deck and let Plymouth slip up. Unfortunately, it wasn't one of those games. They absolutely looked like they got beaten fair and square from Plymouth, which again, they've been brilliant this season, so that's nothing really against Accrington. It doesn't look like they had the best of days at all, though. The last 2 games, they of course lost yesterday and a draw before that. Before that, they were a win, a loss and a win. Quite inconsistent as last 5 games. 13th in the league, exactly mid-table. Is Accrington Stanley really for the past few years exactly where you'd expect them, having really good games, but they're not having such good games as well. And I think yesterday was a bit of an example of that. As for Plymouth, still in that top 6, now 4th in the league, they climb above Oxford United. Of course, we've got that point against Ipswich. You can watch that match reaction on the channel as well. A point for Oxford, but 3 points for Plymouth sees them overtake Oxford United. 71 points currently find themselves on 38 games played, but like I said, 5 wins on the bounce. They are looking very, very good. And the game Plymouth versus Oxford in 2 weeks' time, I think that could be an absolutely gigantic game of football. I cannot wait for that. I can't wait to go down to Plymouth and go to their ground. It looks to be a very, very good place to be at the moment if you're a Plymouth fan. Hopefully, Oxford can turn that around, but it's not going to be easy whatsoever. It's going to be such a difficult game. We look at the form. They really, really are on fire. In terms of that attacking momentum graph, you can see here, it wasn't completely all all Plymouth. You can see that Accrington probably in the first half, they probably did edge the game. For a large chunk in the middle of that first half was all Accrington Stanley. Issue is, though, in the middle of that, Plymouth have attack and they make it 1-0. Accrington didn't really make the most of their moments in that first half. Then before half-time, Plymouth doubled their lead. You could argue maybe a little bit against the run of play when we look at how the game panned out before then. But either way, it's the goals that matter. You take your chance. You have to be clinical in League One. And Plymouth make sure they are just that to make it 2-0. We move into that second half. Again, Accrington had their moments, the first 20, 25 minutes of the half, and then a moment for Plymouth. They are very, very clinical once again. Not the biggest of spike, but certainly one, when they take the chance and they do very, very well. And they make it 3-0. And then a red card straight after that for the Accrington man makes it an even worse day for Accrington, down to 10 men. And then a really, really strong, energetic end of the game for Plymouth Argyle. They make it 4-0, and that is game, set, match. And we can see they're looking at the game panned out. Goals are really across the 90 minutes. Every chunk, really, of the 90 minutes. Something happens. Like a very, very busy game. Not a day to remember for John Coleman's Accrington Stanley, but certainly one. It was actually the goalkeeper, Toby Savant, that got sent off for Accrington Stanley. Not a day to remember for them, but either way for Plymouth, they continue to try and finish in that top 6. Well, their form recently has been brilliant, and their result yesterday as well. That's going to be a huge, huge confidence boost. We look at the man here, Joe Edwards. He was brilliant yesterday. A goal in the game as well. A really good key pass in there as well. 43 touch of the ball. Amazing pass accuracy as well across the 90 minutes. But again, that whole team, you can see the average rating of Plymouth, 7.19. A really good team performance. 4-0. Thoroughly deserved. You could say, it looks tight. I think the scoreline maybe flattered Plymouth a little bit. But ultimately, Accrington had their moments, they didn't take their chances, and Plymouth did have their moments, and they took 4 of their chances. The red card probably would have helped them as well, and the end of the game looked to be all Plymouth. But generally, a brilliant result for Plymouth. It finishes Plymouth 4, Accrington Stanley 0. They continue on a brilliant run of form. They are doing absolutely fantastic this season. Right then, finally, let's go to the game that a lot of people are going to be waiting for. An absolute shock at Rotherham. What happened? Let's break this down, because it looks as though Rotherham, they had a bit of a slip-up here. And we talk about this title race and how incredible this title race is going to be between Wigan and Rotherham. 2 sides that have been really good. No, don't get me wrong. Although Rotherham aren't on the best of form in the last 5 games, a little bit inconsistent, they've been brilliant this season. They've been absolutely quality this season. But yesterday, they did not show the quality they've shown for pretty much the entirety of this season. And this title race between Wigan and Rotherham, with those games in hand with Wigan, I think this is going to be fascinating. Now, they played against a Shrewsbury side that are now 2 wins on the bounce. And Oxford played them recently, and I said in that game, Shrewsbury were much better in that second half. I was really impressed with Shrewsbury in the second half, and they definitely came out and they looked like better than Oxford United. Somehow we managed to grind the result out. We won a penalty. We come away winning the game 2-1. It was one of those grind out performances. But there's no doubt Shrewsbury are a brilliant side. And they've played well this season. They're 16th in the league, but I say it's a slightly false position. But they look better than that. They look well organised defensively. They did lack goals. But again, they scored 3 yesterday, so again, that doesn't really sound as good. But they do lack goals. And across the season, you can see they haven't really scored enough goals. And that's probably why they are 16th in the table. Defensively, they've been pretty strong. But travelling to Rotherham, away from home, top of the league, of course, and to come away winning 3-0, it certainly is a day to remember. We'll have a look at the momentum graph, and I'll sort of break the game down as well, because it looked like tactically, and the way that Shrewsbury approached this game was absolutely spot on. We'll have a look at this as well. Nothing really happened until, nothing happened. I mean, there's no goals, but I mean, in terms of how the game sort of panned out, it started off with Rotherham, the home side, straight away on the front foot. Then sort of Shrewsbury had their moments, and it was back to Rotherham, and then pretty much from, you probably would argue, the 30th minute of the game until half time, and you can see actually trickling on more into the second half as well. Shrewsbury on top, really, really good against Rotherham, dominating the game, in control, going forward, attacking wise, absolutely brilliant. And they got their goal as well in the 36th minute. Daniel Udo scores to make it 1-0 in the 36th minute. And you've got to say, at that moment as well, at that point in the game, they probably did deserve it. You can see there, absolutely dominate from about the 30th minute until probably, you could say, the 50th minute of the game. Absolutely brilliant from them. Then a red card for Rotherham, making it even worse. Angus MacDonald, violent conduct, it says there, sees the red card. And you're down to 10 men, and you can see that Shrewsbury then probably saw them go, okay, we've got an extra man here, winning the game 1-0, we're on top, we're having a good spell in the game. How can we see this out against the top side, no doubt, in Rotherham United? Now, start the second half on top probably would be the words from both managers. Looks as though Shrewsbury players took that on a little bit better, because you can see the second half, like I've already mentioned, up until the 50th minute or so, everything Shrewsbury. Then Rotherham had their moments, and it's back to Shrewsbury attack as well. Then a little bit of Rotherham, and then back into Shrewsbury attack where they double their lead to make it 2-0. Elliot Bennett makes it 2, and then they absolutely, right at the end, Rotherham had their moments, and then it looks as though it wasn't even a chance really. In the last second of the game, it probably was where Rotherham are trying to commit men forward to try and get something, or try and desperately make something out of the game. On the breakaway, I haven't watched the goal, but I imagine it was a breakaway goal or something like that, where Rowan Bowen makes it 3-0, and that is over in the last second of the game. But it looks as though Shrewsbury, they actually looked at they had a game plan. Clearly, they had a very, very good game plan, and everyone probably has a game plan. I imagine every team has a game plan and probably has multiple game plans, but it's how you execute them. It's how you execute them against these top sides, especially. And it looks as though Shrewsbury and Steve Cotterill, who's a manager, of course, of Shrewsbury, got it absolutely spot on. I think Shrewsbury, they'll be delighted with that. 2 wins on the bounce. This one away from home, Rotherham United win that game 3-0. Brilliant stuff for them. And as I said, for Rotherham, it is a day to forget. But I listened to what Paul Warne said. And he said that ultimately these players will need to bounce back. It wasn't a good day yesterday, but these players have bounced back before. Well, he needs them to bounce back, because if he wants to win the league, you've got Wigan knocking on the door. That was not a good result for them yesterday. Again, a home side against 17th in the league. Maybe a false position, but still you've got to be winning those sort of games. They lose 3-0 at home. That is not a good day at all. Either way, it finishes Rotherham 0, Shrewsbury Town 0, an absolute shock of a result, but ultimately fair play to Shrewsbury. They definitely deserve credit. For Rotherham, you've got to bounce back now. I imagine they will. No doubt that side's got quality. It probably was a little bit of a blip, or maybe it's a bit of a blip in the last 5 games or so, but no doubt a brilliant side, both of these. But a brilliant game yesterday, and Shrewsbury definitely deserved to win it. It looks like they got it tactically and technically to absolute perfection. It finishes Rotherham United 0, Shrewsbury Town 3. And they are all of the games are going to sort of heavily break down. A little bit of a run through of the other ones, of course. The reaction, like I said, for Oxford versus Ipswich is on the channel. A bit of a robbery for Oxford, you could say. Not a good game at all. Didn't get any rhythm, didn't get any momentum. Last minute, gets a corner, wins, gets a point out of the game. Ipswich fans not happy about that, but definitely quite a robbery for Oxford. Portsmouth and Wycombe both dropping 2 points each. Of course, though, is a draw. They're playing against each other. That finishes 0-0. Not much going on in that one. Gillingham 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0 as well. So for teams around those playoff places, Sheffield Wednesday dropping points as well. Good point for Gillingham, you would say. Where are we? Wigan, of course, we've spoken that one. Sunderland dropping points as well. I think I did a draw in this one when I predicted this one. I said it probably would be a draw. Lincoln are doing all right at the moment. And a good result for them against Sunderland. So Sunderland dropping points as well. The other games, of course, Bolton, probably out of the playoff race, you could say now, but still a really good season. Episode solely on Bolton on the channel as well. You can look at that one. But a really good win for them. 90th minute, Bakayoko scores the winning goal against Crewe. Maybe a little bit of hope. I don't think so, but ultimately, fair play and well done to Bolton. Another good result for them as well. As for Charlton, they beat Burton 2-0. A good result for Charlton. They're now, I believe, 2 wins now. Is that on the bounce? They won on Tuesday, I do believe. No, I'm lying to you. They didn't. They lost. But either way, a good result for them. Before that, of course, Cheltenham beating Accrington by 3-1. Doncaster Fleetwood, a bit of a, I think it was a relegation 6-pointer. It finishes in a draw. And they're all the games across the weekend. Next weekend is international weekend, but I still believe there are games. A few on Tuesday night. Plymouth have got one. Charlton have got one. And then it should be straight to next week, where the Oxford game was Morecambe game. I know that's already been called off. I know that hasn't updated on here. I don't know if any other games have been called off. Some huge games. Sunderland, Rotherham, Bolton, Portsmouth, Ipswich, Wigan. Some massive, massive games next week. And I know Oxford one is called off. I imagine there might be a few of the internationals being called off as well. I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out, I guess, more as the week progresses. But either way, a brilliant weekend of League One action. Let me know in the comments down below how your team get on. Are you happy with your team's performance and result this weekend? Let me know if you're replying and responding to all of them as per usual. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We may have already hit it. I don't know. Until next time, take care, stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.